I'm Dr. Jett, and I've had a passion for public health for over 30 years. Now I'm in a position to affect change, and these are the critical conversations about health and our community, with people who can help me make those changes. Welcome to CEO Live Talks. My name is Dr. Jett, your host, and we're continuing our talks today with Dr. Dwayne Compton. We're trying to bring in students. We're trying to educate them, improve their health literacy, how they view their patients in the future. But you might have faculty that have biases,
Right.
right? So will you have opportunity to deal with that type of systematic racism?
We do. So we have what's called grand rounds, which are professional development sessions for faculty and staff and our residents and trainees, medical students as well. And so I applaud my colleagues for having grand rounds that follow along the topics of, bias, microaggressions, right, stereotype, threat, and anti-racism. And so by being consistent with those trainings and having some very open, honest dialogue so that folks can really share how they feel and share a little bit about their background, because we make these assumptions that everybody's had exposure to these topics and they haven't. So we provide a safe space for people to learn and have open conversation. Kentucky's mostly rural. Right. So you have folks that come to Louisville in any capacity that may have never really been around people that don't look like them.
Right.
So how do we provide that education? Because the reality is patients is going to come in from every walk of life.
Right.
So how do you approach that patient, gain a better understanding of where they're coming from, and really truly listen to their health concerns, and not be I'm going to tell you what you need versus tell me more of what you feel like you need to have better health care.
So I'm assuming as you're having these meetings and you're having this open dialogue, that people might display some microaggressions and not even realize it, right?
Yeah.
And how do they feel when you address them?
A lot of times they're defensive initially, very defensive, but I think it's all about approach too. Okay. Oftentimes I see it as an opportunity to have a conversation versus being accusatory. Hey, you just committed this microaggression, or I received an email or call that you did X, Y, and Z. Yeah, you had to, acknowledge what happened, and then say, hey, let's have a conversation about it. Because you want to get both. You got the person who filed a grievance or made the phone call, but then you also say, hey, tell me, your perspective on this, and then provide some counseling around that, right? It doesn't always have to be punitive.
Right.
It gives, again, for me, I see it as a learning opportunity.
Yeah, it's education.
Right? You got to educate people and not make assumptions. I always assume good intent, positive intent first, until someone shows me different, right? And just the reality is most people have good positive intent and didn't mean to commit a microaggression. And then some people are very blatant in what they do.
Yeah,
right. So you have to deal with those situations different, and you have to provide due process. And there's a structure that we have to follow, and who you need to contact, who needs to be involved. Sometimes the dean needs to be involved. Sometimes general counsel needs to be involved. Right. Faculty affairs may need to be involved. Student affairs may need to be involved. So it's really about identify who needs to be at the table to handle whatever situation is being presented, so that we can find an outcome that's going to be good for the person that filed the grievance, as well as the school and the institution.
What's the most common micro aggression that you see?
So these days we tend to see, you're going to see more racial microaggressions. Okay. You're going to see power dynamics as well. Mm-hmm. People who have been around for years, and say, hey, you got to go through me to get your certification, so you need to do what I tell you to do, kind of thing. So those are the two big ones that we deal with.
Or you just got this position because we needed diversity.
Right. So we try to dispel those things.
Right.
First and foremost, even with our students, you didn't get into medical school just because you're black. or
Right.
you're Latinx, or you're Asian American. You know,
Right.
you didn't. You got here because you're brilliant,
Right.
and you deserve to be here. You worked hard to get here. So we try to dispel that right away.
Because that's one of the biggest myths out there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, for
most
sure.
common phrases I hear people use.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what keeps people out of medicine, science research, because they don't feel like they belong, right? When you look at a profession and you don't see many people who look like you, it's very easy to develop that, all right, this is not the place for me. Or you get into the environment where you're one of a few and you experience daily microaggressions, outright racism, disrespect, unprofessionalism, things like that. So you leave.
So when you deal with these microaggressions or insults from a racial perspective over time, talk about how that impacts your health overall.
Yeah, so we know, because there's data to support that people that are on the receiving end of microaggressions, racism, bias, discrimination, have higher stress rates, right? So impact your cardiovascular system, right? It impacts your mental health, and over time produces overall negative health outcomes, heart challenges, cardiovascular challenges. So oftentimes, it's not until people speak up and speak truth to light, like, hey, this is my reality. These are the things I'm experiencing. Many people hold it in, right? And they get bottled up with emotions, and then they explode, right, with emotions and things like that. So what we try to do is provide folks an outlet to talk about these things.
To deal with it.
And then talk about, hey, don't hold it in.
Right.
Come talk to us about what's going on with you. Let us help you out. Let us try to figure out a solution. Because over time, we know that people, particularly folks that are on the receiving end, folks that look like you and I, have issues with stroke and heart attack.
This episode of CEO Live Talks is brought to you by Park National Bank. Pay with confidence. Your Park debit card is the fast, safe, smart way to pay this holiday season. Get more details online at parknationalbank.com.
If you or someone you love is considering therapy, contact the professionals at Park DuValle Community Health Centers today.
My Park DuValle Community Health Center is right here.
Communities in our name.
My Park DuValle Community Health Center is right here.
You're always on time.
Because we serve the community.
My Park DuValle Community Health Center is right here.
Park DuValle Community Health Center, providing quality health care, one person, one family, one neighborhood at a time.
My Park DuValle Community Health Center is right here for them.
Park DuValle Community Health is right here for your children's primary care. At Park DuValle Community Health Center, our team of highly dedicated pediatric physicians administers state-of-the-art care right here, every day. Because serving the community is more than part of our name, it's our mission. Park DuValle Community Health Center, providing quality health care, one person, one family, one neighborhood at a time.
At Park DuValle, we offer a variety of services for behavioral health needs, such as therapy, medication management, case management, and we also have community health workers. Here at Park DuValle Community Health Center, in our behavioral health department, we provide you with the tools to help improve your life and your mental health. If you or someone you know is experiencing thoughts of suicide, please don't hesitate to give the Suicide Prevention Hotline a call. This could save your life or someone else's life.
I've often said, African American men, we're dying at a younger age than any other race. And a lot of it has to deal with racism.
Yeah. Yes.
It has to deal with that cortisol level being high all the time, and your adrenaline glands overworking due to the amount of stress that's on your body.
Yeah.
Which is why CBD is number one reason we die.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Unfortunately, we in this day and age with people having a lot of pushback from political standpoint, because I'm watching the optics in Florida with DeSantis going against Disney. How big of a challenge is it to reshape the medical school, but also make sure the university is on page with diversity?
Yeah, so starting with the medical school, I think a lot of it starts with leadership. We've had leadership that said, this is important to us, and we're going to continue to move the work forward in advancing diversity, equity, inclusion, and anti-racism.
Okay.
We were able to hire a director for anti-racism, Dr. John Chenault. It helps with our curriculum, helps with training and development for faculty, students, and even our leadership, right? We have an assistant dean for faculty affairs that focuses on recruitment and retention of diverse faculty. We have and that's Dr. Chris Seals. We have Dr. Lucrease Kidd, who is our assistant dean for research diversity, looking at that area, right? So it starts with the leadership of saying this is something we value, and we have to put the right resources in place so that we can advance diversity, equity, inclusion, and anti-racism. So that's where it starts. Now, a few years ago, we had a president who came in and said, U of L is going to strive to be a premier anti-racist institution. So there's a lot of thoughts about that and where we truly are with that. But when you're an institution like the University of Louisville and you're in the largest urban metropolitan area in the state,
Right.
you have to really advance this work, right? And so I feel like in the 18 years that I've been at U of L, we've been able to do that. I've been fortunate to work with admissions and work with the Porter Scholars and see many Wolf R. Porter Scholars come through and graduate to do some great things here locally as well as throughout the country and abroad. So you have to have initiatives that's going to help advance diversity and inclusion, but it starts with leadership.
I'm glad you said that, because I've often talked to people about what their organization is doing to improve diversity, right? And I don't really hear the beginning part. It starts with leadership. It starts at the top.
Starts at the top.
Right.
Yeah, you have to have buy-in from the top because that's who is going to be your biggest advocate with folks at higher levels of the university, as well as with your community-based organizations and partners that you work with. If individuals see that the leader's on board, then it's very easy to get behind that, right?
Right.
And we see the opposite. If the leadership is not on board,
Right.
then it's not going to be as valued by other members of the organization and community members that they work with. So, as I always say, you got to put your money where your mouth is. If we say that this is a priority, you fund your priorities.
Correct.
Right? So you have to put the appropriate resources there. It's very easy in this world of diversity, equity, inclusion to provide a lot of lip service.
Right.
And I think that that's what you hear oftentimes for people who aren't always true believers of DEI, because what people say and then what they do and how they fund their priorities is much different. And so you get a lot of conflict there.
It's a coined phrase, symbolic in meaning, but there's no funding to really fit the bill.
Yeah.
So we say we're doing it,
right,
but you have no results.
Right.
So what are good results? What does that look like?
It depends on the situation. So for us, one good result is that we've been able to diversify our medical student population.
Okay.
Right. When I started in 2015 at the med school, we had some great folks doing great work. We were at we might admit 12 black students in the class of 163,
That's
64. Whereas now, this past year, we had our largest, most diverse class with like 22 black students, about 14 Latinx students, Hispanic Latinx students. So we continue to see that growth. So every year we're seeing growth, which again, to many is like, well, you bring in a class of 164, it still don't seem like it's that many.
Right.
But when you're looking at diversity, equity, inclusion, that growth is not going to happen overnight. It took us a long time to get to where we are. Right. It's going to take a while to reverse that. But as long as that commitment is there and the funding is there and the people are in place to make it happen, you'll see the incremental growth.
And I would think in today's society, I don't know how many black doctors we're graduating.
Yeah.
Or, because it was a common phrase back then, you either go to medical school or go to law school or be an athlete or something. So I don't know if we're really teaching our kids to go to med school now.
It depends on where you are, right? We know right now in the United States, the largest producer of black physicians are HBCUs. Correct. So our historically black college universities are doing a wonderful job. I always have. So when you look at Xavier in Louisiana, they're one of the top producers. Howard University is one of the top producers. Meharry, of course. Morehouse School of Medicine. So we have to continue to support our HBCUs first and foremost because they are the largest producer. Right? Students that go to undergrad into those pre-med programs. And then at your predominantly white institutions, you have to have pathway programs that provide that exposure. Right? You have to provide shadowing opportunities, summer research opportunities.
I don't know about exposure. What about funding?
Funding too. Yeah. Exposure is the first part. Funding is the second part. Because medical school is not cheap. Right? And you're talking about a lot of first generation physicians that's trying to pursue med school, and not even just medicine, but research, right? We don't talk a lot about that, but the research sciences. We need more research scientists out there developing cures for cancer, pharmacology, and
a lot
things
of people
like that.
don't really think about medicine and that aspect. So I'm an epidemiologist by training, but I focus heavily on research. When a physician comes in, he goes to school, he's doing assessments of a person, but I'm looking at the total population.
Right.
We don't have a lot of focus in African Americans in doing research.
Right. And it starts at in P through 12. How do we engage students in science? Is it always fun and engaging? Right. If you were to ask our kids, they probably would say no. Right. If you say research to most kids, they look at you like you're crazy. Like that don't sound appealing to me.
Right.
But it's not until they get into a research lab and they see a heart, or they get to do some kind of cool experiment with DNA and those kind of things. Going to simulation labs. I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool. These are the things you can do with research. Right. So exposure is really important. And of course, when you get to that point where you're trying to pursue a career in that area, it's like, all right, now I need the money.
Right.
I need the money to make this happen. So what we try to do is provide summer opportunities for research for high school students, for undergrad students, and even graduate students, to better understand what's happening in this research arena. Of course, a lot of work is being done around cancer research. Right. We have an R25 cancer research program. And then again, my colleague, Dr. Lucretia Kidd, has gotten some grants through the NIH, the National Institute for Health, to help do some opportunities for students during the summer. So, and then we're even trying to engage medical students that's going the MD route to pursue opportunities in research. Maybe they do an MD, PhD. A lot of folks don't even realize that's a thing.
That's a thing.
Right. And so how do you become a physician researcher? Right. So some of it is dispelling some of the myths that people have about research, about medicine, and then put people in front of them that they can see to look like them to say, this is how I did it and this is how you can do it.
So how much does it cost to complete medical school?
We don't want to scare people too quick, but you're looking well into $50,000 plus a year for medical school. So in 4 years. Yeah, in 4 years,
about $300K.
Yep. But and here's the thing though, there's opportunities for loan forgiveness programs. So you got
I offer loan forgiveness at
federally qualified health centers.
Right.
So if you work in a rural area, a medically underserved area, or you work with a federally qualified health center in areas of high need, if you work with the military. Military-based service.
So
as
you
a
can
physician.
get loan forgiveness in 4 years.
There's ways to get rid of that student loan. We do provide scholarships. Many med schools provide scholarships, but students do have to supplement some of that through student loans. That's a reality, right? There aren't too many like full ride med school scholarships out there, but I feel like we do a really good job. We're not where we want to be, but we do provide a good job of doing that.
This episode of CEO Live Talks is brought to you by Park National Bank. Pay with confidence. Your Park debit card is the fast, safe, smart way to pay this holiday season. Get more details online at parknationalbank.com.
If you or someone you love is considering therapy, contact the professionals at Park DuValle Community Health Centers today.
The depression part, I would get up only because I knew I had to. I'm always having to do stuff for other people, and I can't, who's helping me? Therapy has improved my life by 95%. Every parent every child, just everyone, just in general, needs some type of therapy, and they should seek it if they feel the need. When I'm approached or have something happen to me, I feel the emotions for everything, but then I have to set it free because it'll do something to me. So I just, like I said, I feel it, not for long, and then I set it free. That's how I've been able to cope with my situations. A closed mouth doesn't get fed. But yeah, once I couldn't take it anymore, and I reached out for help, and I got it.
If you or someone you love is considering therapy, contact the professionals at Park DuValle Community Health Centers today.
At Park DuValle, we offer a variety of services for behavioral health needs, such as therapy, medication management, case management, and we also have community health workers. Here at Park DuValle Community Health Center, in our behavioral health department, we provide you with the tools to help improve your life and your mental health. If you or someone you know is experiencing thoughts of suicide, please don't hesitate to give the Suicide Prevention Hotline a call. This could save your life or someone else's life.
My Park DuValle Community Health Center is right here.
Communities in our name.
My Park DuValle Community Health Center is right here.
You're always on time.
Because we serve the community.
My Park DuValle Community Health Center is right here.
Park DuValle Community Health Center, providing quality health care, one person, one family, one neighborhood at a time.
My Park DuValle Community Health Center is right here for them.
Park DuValle Community Health is right here for your children's primary care. At Park DuValle Community Health Center, our team of highly dedicated pediatric physicians administer state-of-the-art care right here, every day. Because serving the community is more than part of our name, it's our mission. Park DuValle Community Health Center, providing quality health care, one person, one family, one neighborhood at a time.
So, tough question for you, right?
I love tough questions.
So what does your future look like?
Yeah, so that's a good question.
Because you've gotten presidential awards. You keep getting
I've been
awards.
blessed.
You've been blessed.
Been blessed.
So you got to have a vision.
You know, at one point, I thought that I wanted to be a university president, right? That was kind of the goal going into higher education. And some of that has changed a little bit. You know, I see myself being a president and CEO of a nonprofit. You know, I love education. So anything that I do moving forward will be education and community oriented, community driven, right? I want to have impact on community, impact on those that have similar backgrounds as myself, that maybe didn't have access and opportunity all the time. So right now, I'm exploring that. Now, as at the start of the show, we said I have a hat business.
Right.
That depending on how successful that is, I may just pursue entrepreneurship. And that be it. So I leave the door open. And I've learned to never rule anything out. But having been in higher education over 2 decades, of course it naturally lends itself to moving up within higher ed. So we'll see. But I enjoy the community engagement side, and that's the part that most people may not realize about me. I really enjoy building and fostering the relationships with community partners, trying to open a door. For those who have always had the doors closed in their face, right, or doors not be open to them at all.
Right.
And so that's why I say that maybe the nonprofit sector might be something that
you do a great job in talking to people. So I definitely can see you being president of some university in the future. One last question. For younger people that might be looking today, tell us, what would you say to yourself now being your age to 15-year-old you?
Yeah. So, one of the things that I often say, even when I'm talking to youth, is take that leap of faith. right? I used to be afraid of the unknown. Used to be afraid of trying because I'd be scared to fail, right? And as I got older, I realized it's okay. If it don't work out, it don't work out. It's not meant for you, right? So to my younger 15-year-old self, or those 15-year-olds out there, I say explore everything. Don't rule anything out, right? If you want to go to med school, explore that route, right? If you want to be an engineer, explore that route. If you want to play a collegiate sport, go that route. But I also say put in the work, right? I've learned over the years, nothing is given to you. And it takes hard work. It takes showing up. You know, one thing that most people may not know about me is I went to high school every day for 4 years, right? Every day for 4 years, right? And
Every day.
And you know, so show up, be present, work hard. And then, you know, one of the other things I say is don't be afraid to lean on people that might be there for you.
Right.
You know, because folks have trust issues.
I'm still stuck on every day because it used to be minus 10 degrees, maybe 10 degrees in Chicago. We still had to go to school. I'm like, I'm not going.
Yeah. I mean, people look for a reason not to go.
I was looking for a reason that day. It was cold.
People look for a reason not to go. But I do. When I talk to college students and I talk to high school students, I tell them to take a leap of faith. Right. Don't be afraid to try something and it not work out. It's okay. Right. And it may not work out right now, but it may work out later. You know,
I've failed more times than I've succeeded.
And you got back up. That's why you're the CEO of Park DuValle Community Health Center. Right. And so I think anyone who has experienced success knows that you had to fail at some point, and that you had to get back up and keep going. Right. Despite the challenges that you run into. I think, you know, the other thing is people might see you and I where we are now and might get the assumption that we don't experience challenges even in what we do now, and we do.
There's always challenges.
And we had to get back up and keep it moving, right? So not to give up so fast when things don't go your way.
And probably, you know, with that is believing in yourself. Because even though you might fail, and even some of your own family members might tell you what you can't do because they have pre-notions about what has happened to them.
Yes.
You have to truly believe in yourself.
Yeah. Well, you know, I've that's very true. And I've always kind of had this mindset that I'm going to show you better than I tell you. Right. I've been told on more than one occasion, you can't do that, or you won't be good at that, or who do you think you are? You know, there's a number of different things that are said. And that's why I challenge folks that work with youth to be very mindful of what they say. Words matter. And you can really, really deter someone's career path or just life, alter their life trajectory by saying the wrong things to them and not being encouraging and uplifting them. You know?
It might be something that you didn't agree with, but let them do it. Let them experience
Let them experience that. So.
Well, thank you for coming to the show today. This concludes the show. Like I said, happy Derby.
Happy Derby.
Black Coffee, 1219 West Jefferson Street.
For sure.
Please visit.
Yes.
All right.
Appreciate you.
This concludes our show for today. Thank you for everybody watching. And this is the week after Derby. So, you know, hopefully everybody is still having festivals going on. All right. Take care.